What is it that makes the all-new Hyundai Palisade Hybrid an incredible SUV? Is it the spacious interior that's comfy for the whole crew? Or the capability to go off-road? Maybe it's up to 600 plus miles of range? What if it's all of that and more? What is it then? The all-new Hyundai Palisade Hybrid. Is it the driver behind the wheel? No. Are you sure? The all-new Hyundai Palisade Hybrid. So much more than just another SUV. Visit HyundaiUSA.com or call 562-314-4603 for more details.
98.1 Game Day is on the air.
Presented by Super Chevy and Yingling, your local Super Chevy dealers and Yingling Flight.
It's time to talk LSU football on the flagship home of the Tigers. Call 225-499-9898. It's Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Now, live from downtown Baton Rouge, here's Charles Hannegrip and Richard Dixon.
The Tigers are sloppy, but they get home 23-7 against Louisiana Tech to run the record to 2-0 on the young season. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Eagle 98.1 Game Day. I'm Charles Hannegrip, along with former Tiger Richard Dixon. Well, this ball game, the home opener for LSU, provided an opportunity for the Tigers to build on their season-opening victory against Clemson that really took the attention of the entire college football world. For the last week, LSU has been told by everybody, the fans, the media, the coaches, and probably themselves, that this was a juggernaut championship football team ready to go. Not surprisingly, when you have that level of intensity, it's tough to keep it up for 12 weeks. And especially with a non-conference opponent, well, you saw a little bit of that tonight. LSU came out in this game and had some things go against them early, and they never were, I thought, in danger of losing this game. But I also never thought that they were able to separate and operate with the type of intensity and execution level that you would have hoped for in a game like this. So let's talk about some of the things that happened in this game that left. Rich, I said in the pregame, I said, town's been giddy all week, okay, with what had happened and what they think is to come. The coaches were giddy. We saw Brian Kelly. The guy was in a really good mood, buying drinks for everybody on Thursday night at the coaches show, okay? Media was giddy. Guilty. Raised my hand. I thought it was really good last week. Players seemed like they were in a good mood. The fans were in a damn good mood. I mean, you didn't get any better than last week. You go on the road, you get a big win. Alabama loses, Texas loses. You feel pretty good. Now for the last 3 hours, it seems like there's this cloud of pissed off that is over the entire city right now, and I think that it's probably a little bit overblown, although I know that's going to be an unpopular opinion tonight. You walked in here mad. I can tell. I've been working with you long enough. You already aggravated. And this was not what you would have loved to have seen.
It's not what LSU to go out.
You would have loved to have seen them go out there, put this game away early, and have a high level of execution, get a lot of extra players in the game, and none of that happened tonight.
Look, the one positive note we have is this defense is still elite. That's the one positive thing we haven't been able to say in a few years, that this defense can win games. But, I mean, it's very frustrating. I know Braylon Moore went out in the first play, but, trying to get your – I'm a broken record. Trying to get the running game going for 4 years, and then you get blown up by La Tech. Look, I watched a lot of that film. I think, Peter Woods was good at Clemson. I watched Clemson's defensive line. We talked about 2 first-rounders, 2 top 10 picks, and we held our own. I didn't think it was great last week, but considering who we were going against and the type of talent we were going against, it was acceptable. And then you come out tonight, and it's just like everybody's getting blown up. I mean, you got 2 runs for 90 yards. The rest of the game, you get 30 more yards.
3 for 106. The rest of the game was 31 for 22.
Okay, 31 for 20. That's embarrassing.
Now you can add back the Nussmeier sacks if you want. That'll give you 27 more, but you get the picture.
Yeah, I mean, it's embarrassing. I mean, when you go against La Tech, when we talked in pregame, that is your goal, is to get out of this game in the third quarter. Like, we want to dominate. We want to get out there, execute, and let the rest of the guys play. I want to put a dip in by 5 minutes left in the third quarter and watch my buddies play the rest of the game. And we didn't do it. And it's frustrating because I think Nussmeier kind of had some issues tonight. He went back to underthrowing the ball, making goofy decisions to roll out of the pocket. And I'm not going to bash on him because he's still a great quarterback. But I just think decision-wise, it was just a sloppy game.
So I got 6 things, the football part of this. Start with number 1, field position. This was a field position game in the first half. LSU dominated the first half on the yardstick, but not on the scoreboard. Why? Because you had drives that had to go 98 yards, the touchdown drive, 85 yards on the field goal drive, a 9-play, 5-minute drive that went 50 yards that resulted in a punt because you were backed up in your own end. Another 11-play drive that resulted in a field goal that took nearly 5 minutes off the clock because you had to start deep in your own end. Another 7-play drive that started at the 9-yard line. The field position was controlled by Louisiana Tech, whose punter put 4 of them inside the 20-yard line. So the yardstick looked fine. I think I said we texted one time during the whole game, and you were cussing. But what I said was it certainly doesn't feel like LSU's got a 4-1 edge on the yardstick, which at the time they didn't finish with that, but that at the time they had it. So I thought field position early. The run game, you mentioned it. They didn't have really last week either what you would call a consistent traditional running game. What they're doing right now in the run game to get the numbers somewhat respectable is a lot of gadgets. There's end rounds, there's wide receivers coming into the backfield. There's things that, hey, you can pop in there from time to time, but I don't know if you can get away with doing that on a long-term basis. I was encouraged by the fact that Harlem Berry shows a level of explosion that I think can help them. But no, that offensive line is not going to blow people off the ball. Look, we watched Les Miles teams for 10 years, for a decade or more, just hammer away. Big offensive linemen, big backs, toss lead. Here we come. We complain they didn't have a passing game. Yeah. So now, it's like, hey, there's not a rush game. The rush game needs some work. 106 yards on 3 carries, the other 31 for 22. Braylon Moore going out, I think, is a much bigger deal than what they're trying to downplay. I understand why Brian Kelly's trying to downplay it. He's got other guys that have to play, and they're probably going to be without Moore for a little bit here. But that's a big deal. I mean, that's a enormous, very big deal. It's
immediate when you see he goes out on the first play and all of a sudden we are getting crushed up the middle. I mean, he goes out and look, DJ Chester is obviously the 6th man. He's a guy that played tackle, then playing the center this week. But it's a huge letdown from what Braylon Moore did. I mean, Nussmeier was rolling out all night long because he could not sit in the back of the pocket.
Third thing, Nussmeier. I thought he – like a pitcher that just doesn't have his best command on a certain outing. I thought that was Nussmeier tonight. He badly underthrew Barry and Brown on the first drive of the game, which turned into an interception off of the carom. If he hits Brown there for the touchdown, I wonder if things might not have gone a little bit differently in that first half. It would have been a back-breaking play. Brown had 5 steps easy on the defender. But it wasn't the only one. He was high at times. He was wide at times. And I thought, unlike last week where they seemed very patient and very deliberate about getting the ball out of his hands early and doing a lot of high percentage stuff in the screen game, it seemed like tonight he was bound and determined that he was going to push the ball down the field. And sometimes those things just were not there. La Tech was playing a 3-3-5. They were playing at times that shell over the top, and there were a couple that he flat out forced. Now, they hit a couple of big plays too, and it drew a number of pass interference penalties, but I thought there was a little bit more of a desire to push the ball down the field, maybe at times where it just wasn't there.
I think I combine the two with Braylon Moore going out and then getting pressure up the middle. I think his mechanics kind of fell off. He was thrown off his heels a good bit. He didn't have the best mechanics tonight. I think it was a big deal that him losing the center in this, it changed the dynamics of the game. He was throwing off his heels. He was rolling out, making a little bit more decisions where he wasn't as comfortable.
Make no mistake, there were a lot of people that didn't do their job tonight as well as they could. It wasn't just Braylon Moore being out, but that certainly didn't help. The next thing, scoring opportunities. LSU had an 8-play drive that produced a missed field goal. They had a 1st and 10 at Louisiana Tech's 15-yard line. That resulted in a field goal. They had a 1st and goal at the 3-yard line of Louisiana Tech, and that resulted in a field goal. You were poor in the red area tonight. There was opportunities to get more points than they got. The defense, I thought, was outstanding tonight. They came, again, very, very close to throwing a shutout. The one scoring drive that Louisiana Tech had in the fourth quarter, 74 yards. They had 80 besides that. That's elite level defense, and I thought they were really, really good in that area. And then the last thing, and really this to me is kind of in my head, the theme, because I've seen this situation before, is a focus. Since they got back from Houston, it's been, we got to win the opener. I mean, every day, every sign, every locker, every T-shirt, every slogan, every hype video, everything. We got to beat Clemson. And when you do that, okay, and I'm not suggesting that it was a bad idea, okay, because you needed to beat Clemson and you needed to win your opener. And it was the next game. So I don't in any way fault them for doing that, the coaching staff. But when you put 8 months worth of work into go beat Big Orange, you got to play another game the next week. You got to play 10 more after that. There is just going to be, you can say a million times, and they said all the right things all week. No, we're focused on going 1-0 again this week. There is just, the human psyche doesn't allow you to get up like that and not have some kind of regression. Some teams handle it better than others.
It didn't affect the defense.
It didn't affect, you're right. That's a good point. It did not affect the defense. And I thought there would be some regression, but the mistake I made in looking at this game was I didn't think Louisiana Tech was very good. What I saw last week against Southeastern was not very good. The score was deceiving, and I thought they played hard, and I thought they did some things that gave LSU some trouble. But there was going to be a little – you just can't be up for La Tech the way you are for Clemson. And I know it's a home opener. It's not that they played flat, but they were sloppy. I expected a little bit of sloppy. I got a lot more sloppy than I expected.
To your point, I mean, look, I don't think LSU thought La Tech was very good as well. I mean, they had a great game plan for Clemson. They were going to get the ball out quick. They were going to run a screen game. They were going to put one-on-ones with Trey Green. They were going to spread it out on the goal line. We didn't see any of that tonight. I mean, they got in the goal line 2 or 3 times, and we ran bunch packages with Trey as a tight end, a true tight end for the first time. We didn't spread him out and put one-on-ones with him and make him go make a play. I mean, we got away from everything that – it was almost like we had a great game plan for Clemson. We were going to push it. We knew their defense line was good. We were going to get the ball out quick. We were going to run screen games, misdirection, a lot of, flood action with a slip out the back. And then tonight we're like, okay, let's try to run our offense. And then we tried to run our offense, and it was garbage.
Yeah. The lack of focus was there. There were drops. There were penalties. 77 yards worth of penalties, I think, was the final thing. A lack of execution. And then finally at the end, if you stuck around or if you were still watching, when they go out for victory formation, and 9 guys on the field.
Yeah.
Kelly lost his mind because he'd been looking at that all night, in a lot of situations where get your head out your rear end, okay?
He looked steamed.
He was.
The whole game.
And I can understand why. We're going to hear his Michael, if we got that, we're going to go to that here in just a second. His opening, the thing, he's mad at his staff. He's mad at himself. And he's aggravated with the team. And I certainly understand that. The worst thing that happened tonight was you have injuries to 2 key players. There's a lot of depth on this team, but center ain't necessarily, the one you wanted to. There were plenty of other guys. It's a high ankle. He's going to miss some time. Just right off the top of my head, if they got him back for Ole Miss, this is just me talking. Yeah. They're going to do. Kelly said they're going to do MRIs on Monday for him and Trey Green. If it's a high ankle, which is what it looks like,
4 weeks.
4 weeks, yeah. I'm thinking Ole Miss at best to get back for him. Trey Green, the ankle. The knee. he came back out. He had a brace on. He was on crutches, but he was standing on the sideline. They have some hopes that he's not done for the season, which is good. He is definitely going to miss some time. How much, I don't know. But
it's a tough one.
They're going to look at that again on Monday. And again, the hope is that he is not done for the year. And they have reasonable hope that he's not done for the year, but he's going to miss some time. So that was the worst. The worst of the night by far was losing those two kids. I would tell you that after all of that, okay, take a deep breath, relax a little bit. These games don't define seasons. The games like this are never the ones. When I told my friends when I left for the post game, I said, guys, when we sit around and we're having a cold one and we're talking about the great wins in LSU history, this won't be one of them. Okay, and while I certainly didn't want this performance to go down the way it did tonight, it is an attention getter. Okay, you can't go out there with anything other than the maximum focus and hope to win against good competition. And you will play plenty teams better than this one the rest of the way.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're going to have bad games. I always go back to in 2007 when we played Tulane in New Orleans at 10 in the morning for the Hurricane Katrina game. We gave up 6 sacks in that game. It was a 13-10 game at halftime. We come back winning 34-10. But it's just frustrating when, we talk about what everybody's saying all week. Like I told you this earlier, I was like, man, I just don't think they have a letdown. I mean, the way the guys are talking in the locker room, the way they perform, it's nameless, faceless opponents. But I mean, this was a real struggle, and not on the defense side. I think the defense played great. I think those guys, where the leadership is, when you talk about Weeks, Perkins, Pyburn, that whole group, they got that going. But this offensive line needs some dogs on them to really step up.
Talk about the Tulane game much when you guys get together, do you?
We talk about a few things.
Brian Kelly, after the win.
And, look, we're happy with the win. We're not happy with the production across the board. We got to coach better. That's the bottom line. And tonight we didn't coach well enough. We got out-coached in a lot of areas. Hats off to Coach Cumbie and his staff at La Tech. They did a great job tonight. You got to run the football. We didn't run the football effectively tonight, and it made it difficult for us. We didn't make great decisions. Players got to make plays. Coaches got to coach better. You can tell by my voice I'm not happy with the performance, but it's a win. So you always have to, measure this by, the outcome in this instance was what we wanted. It's certainly not the way we wanted to get there. So we got a lot of work to do. And we'll get back to work on Monday and work to get better.
499-9898 is the number to call on the Hooters hotline. We'll take your calls when we come back. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Eagle 98.1 Game Day continues. LSU wins it 23-7 tonight against Louisiana Tech. Hooters hotline is open. 499-9898 is the number. Coach is in Youngsville. Coach, welcome into the show.
You guys, trying to stay positive. A little worried about some injuries. I want to know a couple of things, what you think, before you give me the whiskey recommendation tonight. I got a couple to rattle off for you after the question, but how concerned are you going into SEC play now that we don't have a backup quarterback with any significant snaps or experience with our team? As rough as we looked with the one and the injuries we did sustain, it's a little concerning that we don't have somebody kind of prepped and ready to go at the 2 slot. How are you feeling about that?
Well, the backup quarterback that they have, Michael Van Buren, actually has 8 SEC starts. He's just a second-year player, but he has played. So think about how difficult it was to fill that position. You had to go out and get a quarterback because Colin Hurley's status in the spring was very much up in the air after the accident. So they had to go find a quarterback in the transfer portal that knew he was not going to start. that could come to training camp and complete every single pass, and he was not going to start. And so you want to have somebody that has some experience, but who's coming in with absolutely no chance to win the starting job. That's a hard ask. So to get somebody with the 8 starts, I thought was good. I don't know how good Van Buren would be if he was forced to play.
I mean, look, you played Clemson last week. We're talking about we're in week 2. Anybody that played a top 10 talent last week, their backup quarterback didn't get reps. This was a game that we hoped we would get them, and we hoped, especially midway through the third quarter, they would get some reps. And look, we just didn't play up to our standard to where you can get those reps in. But I'm not saying that it concerns me in week 2 that your backup quarterback hasn't seen multiple reps.
Yeah. All right. What are my choices for the whiskey tonight? Oh, we lost him. Okay.
I thought he was bringing it to us.
Well, then Buffalo Trace works just fine.
I'll take anything.
Guess is this right? New Zealand?
Hey, it's Jeff.
Jess in New Zealand? Really?
Yes, I'm LSU alumni, and came back home, and I listen, on the internet and watch games.
What time is it in New Zealand right now?
It's early, man. But real quick, my first observation, I don't want to talk down on this team at all because I love them, but aside from 2019, because that was kind of an anomaly, but even 2011 and 2007, the offense seemed to have this killer edge to them, right? Are you not really seeing that yet with this team? And also, could you explain the rules of football?
We were talking about the 7 team during the break, Rich.
Yeah, no.
You played. You were on a team.
This is a different style of football, and we talk about Les Miles and how we ran the ball 30 times a game, 35 times a game, and you passed it maybe 20-something times. To me, it is concerning because I just said that since 2019, we have not had anybody that can bully anyone up front. And I go back to 2019. I don't think that our run game was dominant from bullying people up front, but we had such an elite passing game that people had to back off. It is concerning because you got to go get those tough yards. And look, we can talk about, we rushed for 128 tonight, 131, whatever it was, 107 last week. Look, I went and watched the stats from Clemson's game. They didn't play great tonight either. So, if we're not going to be dominant in the pass game where you're throwing for 300 and 400 yards, whatever it is, but you're still struggling in the run game, it's a little bit concerning to me.
That offensive line is still, look, they got it done last week, but it's still a work in progress. It's still 2 first-year guys at tackle. It's still a transfer at right guard. It's still, a player with Mubinga's got 5 or 6 starts, I think, 6 or 7.
And this wasn't the same offensive line as last week. We lost Braylon Moore in the first play of the game.
Very big deal.
Yeah.
Very big deal. Earl is in Gonzales on the Hooters hotline. Earl, welcome into the show.
Hey, Charlie and Richard. How y'all doing, man?
Good.
To piggyback off that last comment, I'm really concerned about the offensive line play. Either a run sets up the pass or the pass sets up the run. So, what do you guys see moving in the SEC play as far as the pressure up the middle? Because it's highly concerning. You got Nussmeier kind of bailing out of the pocket, throwing on a run a lot. So I don't know if you guys, feel that, we should be more dominant as far as the run game. So it's concerning to me, at least.
Rich?
I got to go back and watch the film because I'm just an average fan at this point, and everything I'm going to say is negative because I'm not in a great mood about how the outcome of the game happened. But, it is incredibly concerning. I saw DJ Chester getting shoved in Nussmeier's lap. I saw left and right guards getting pushed back. I didn't see a lot of solid protection from either one of the tackles. Nussmeier had some poor decisions made based off he was pushed out of the pocket. It affected his mechanics. He was throwing off his back heels. I mean, there's a lot of issues tonight that are concerning, and you hopefully that with all the talent that we do have there and all the options we had, they figure it out.
I've just seen this enough times to maybe I'm missing it, but I've seen enough teams, some good, some not as good, sleepwalk through these games, or not sleepwalk's the wrong word. go out with a level of execution that just ain't there. Okay. I've heard it from enough players, ex-players say, look, you go out there and you know the difference between Clemson and Louisiana Tech. You just do. And as much as you tell yourself and rep it over and over again that, man, we got to be focused, can't no let down, want to know this week again. And sometimes it just ain't there. Let's not use the 19 team as an example for anything because that's a one-off. I mean, I don't know that we'll ever see another team like that again. So, yes, you strive for that, but you get one team like that.
I agree with you that it is tough, and you have so many big games in the schedule that you have some let-offs, but you also, in those let-offs, you have dominant stretches in that game. You might struggle in the first and second quarter, but that third quarter you kind of bust their ass, and then you kind of slack off in the fourth quarter. This was a 4-quarter game that you didn't dominate any section of it.
The bigger concern for me is something I hadn't really considered and still don't think is true, but I have to think about it now. What if Clemson's not that good?
They didn't look that good tonight.
They didn't. They were down 16-0. Now, they came back and put 27 on the board in the second half, and they won. But that's Troy they did that against, okay? That's what I have to consider at this point is what if Clemson was wildly overrated? Happens every year. Every year we do a segment in August where we say, okay, give us the team that you think that's in the top 10 that's going to finish unranked. And give us a team that's unranked that you think is going to finish in the top 10. And it happens every year. Yeah. There's one team that's way better than anybody thinks they should be, and one team that's way worse. Sometimes it's more than one, but it's always at least one. What if Clemson's that team? That's concern. Who do they play next week?
That's why we're in week 2. I don't know anything yet,
well, we're all, operating with, incomplete information. They go to Georgia Tech next week.
If they dominated this weekend, I'd be like, we had it let off. Right now,
maybe their egos are bruised a little bit too from what happened last week. They go to Georgia Tech this week. That's a reasonable litmus test to see if they're.
It's not going to make me feel that much better.
Well, I can tell a lot more them going on the road to play a team like Georgia Tech, who's not bad. Experienced quarterback, really good coach, I think, Brent Key. More than that against Troy. They go to Tech and lose. Okay. Maybe I'm maybe I
at all anymore.
Join me in the panic, won't you? No, not yet. We'll take a break. 499-9898 is the number to call on the Hooters hotline. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Eagle 98.1 Game Day continues. LSU wins it 23-7 over Louisiana Tech tonight. 499-9898 is the number on the Hooters hotline. Justin is in Gonzales. Justin, welcome into the show. Justin?
Hey, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead.
I love the show. I just want to say, as much as you know and as much as everybody does, you win the next game, it doesn't matter how you win it. Just win the next game. LSU will be all right. Don't matter how you win it, just win it.
Well, that's fine. I think what people generally opine about is things that you did in a win that will get you beat on another night. They play like this in some of these Southeastern Conference games. They will get beat.
Yeah.
I would take 12 one-point wins right now. Okay, if that was if you offered me 12 one-point wins, I'd say sure. But I think what concerns people is if you do some of the things you did tonight, you'll get beat against some of these a lot of SEC teams.
I know, but if you've been watching LSU for the past 30, 40 years, they play to their opponent's strength. They don't. 2019, like you said, that was a dominant year. The rest of them, they play Louisiana Tech. They play UL Monroe. They play them close.
Sometimes. Not all the time. Not all the time.
But all you have to do, you win the game. That's it.
Well, they got the win, and I can't argue with that. And look, over the next 4 weeks, this team's got to evolve. Okay, there's some young players, especially on the offensive line, that have got to get better. Florida lost today to South Florida, who apparently is pretty good. That's not a team that LSU can't beat. And then you play Southeastern, which you're going to win that game. And then you play Ole Miss, okay, which is another team that I thought would go blow the doors off Kentucky today, but didn't. It's a good team, but certainly not a team you can't beat. And the same thing with South Carolina, who I watched play Virginia Tech last week. Didn't exactly, set the world on fire. And Virginia Tech got beat by 4 touchdowns today or 24 points by Vanderbilt. So that's the first half of your schedule. Those are all winnable games. Tonight's outcome doesn't change my opinion of that. You got to get better.
And they will get better. They will get better.
I hope so. I hope so. I was very encouraged last week. Tonight, I'm not in the panic mode that a lot of people are, but I'm not. I can't tell you that. Everything's great, because it wasn't.
No, everything's not great, but don't be panicked.
No,
this is how football is.
Rich, don't panic.
We won the game. We win next week. We win the week after that. As long as you keep winning, you LSU, it doesn't matter if you win by 1 point, 10 points, 30 points. You keep winning the games, you're going to be in the playoffs. That's when it counts.
Thank you, Justin. I appreciate the call.
I agree with everything he's saying. It's just my mindset is you want to, as a player, you want to feel dominant. And then, I'm telling you, most of those guys in that locker room, they got the feeling in their stomach the same it would be almost as a loss. Like, they didn't show what they wanted to show tonight. It's frustrating when you go out there and it doesn't work out the way you want to. I mean, look, we won the game, and that's all that matters. But all those players, I guarantee, are not feeling great tonight.
And they shouldn't, because there's a lot of things that they could have done better tonight. I'd also tell you that there are very few teams that play the same way every week for 12 weeks. Good or bad.
No.
The teams that are just absolutely so dominant that they blow the doors off everybody every single week. There's very, very few teams like that. And the same thing with there's very few teams that are just so bad, conference teams, that are just so bad that there's no hope, okay? Mississippi State was picked 15th or 16th in the league, right?
Beat Arizona State tonight.
They beat a ranked team tonight. And at one point, they were up 3 scores on that team. Arizona State came all the way back, took the lead, and Mississippi State goes the length of the field in about a minute at the end and wins it. That's supposed to be the worst team in your league, or close to it. So you're going to see some variance of play. It's inevitable. It's college football. Tonight was not a great one.
My mindset, look, I still feel like, when I watch these games, it's the same feeling I had when I played, and it's probably worse now because you didn't have any effect on it. You're just watching it, and I just understand that this is a frustrating game for everybody on that team. Like, they feel like they lost.
Good,
and this is it's a good thing, but there's things you have to get better at, and they understand that.
I'd feel really bad if they were like, yeah, we won.
Exactly.
Everything's fine. No, I don't think.
Brian Kelly's press conference, when he's that pissed off after a win, it reinsures the feelings I have.
If anybody felt like that walking into the locker room, they didn't after they heard him talk. I can promise you. Glenn is in New Mexico. Glenn, welcome into the show.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
A few things. Do we know anything of what's going on with Green? Because that's
MRI Monday.
MRI Monday.
They're hopeful.
Next year, who do you think LSU's coach is going to be? Go Tigers.
I think it's going to be Brian Kelly. Yeah, I can get that one for you pretty easy. 499-9898 is the number on the Hooters hotline. Jules is in Abbeville. Jules, welcome into the show.
Hey there, fellas. I didn't watch the game because it's on Plus, and I got rid of that a couple of years ago. But lackluster effort, I guess, based on what I can see and what I can hear. But I'd like to get y'all's take on 2 late games last week, Miami over Notre Dame and Belichick's performance. I'll hang up and listen.
North Carolina looked like they had never run run a tackling drill, and I was stunned.
Looked like an NFL camp.
I was I was stunned at the lack of physicality at all by North Carolina. TCU, I think, is a nice team.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good team. So the fact that they won wasn't a shock. They were favored on the road, but how they bullied that group, I expected to see a level of execution that I expect out of a Belichick team. Okay, not necessarily the talent level. Okay, they turned over 70
players,
77 players or 74 players, whatever it was. It was more than Dion turned over at Colorado. So there were going to be some growing pains. I was just shocked at how weak. I'm trying to think of a more polite word that they looked.
I'm taking it off you. I fell asleep in the first quarter of that game.
Okay, well, you didn't miss anything.
I did watch the very first drive, and they go down there and score the touchdown. I'm like, God dang, Belichick.
Well, if you watched that, then you probably thought they were pretty good.
I thought it was really good. Then I woke up in the morning. I woke up the next morning. I'm like, what happened?
Yeah, the roof fell in after that.
But Miami and Notre Dame, I thought it was a good game. And look, Marcus Freeman is doing a great job at Notre Dame. He was on that Ohio State team we played. I know a lot of guys that know him, have a lot of respect for him. I know Mario Cristobal very well. I mean, Mario Cristobal probably recruited me harder than anybody coming out of high school. I got a lot of respect for him. I think that he's the right guy for Miami. That was a really good game. And I think that he's going to turn Miami around. And I think that was a very similar game. If you're going to talk about LSU Clemson, that Notre Dame-Miami game, close.
So here's the thing with Cristobal. He is an excellent recruiter. The game day stuff sometimes gets away from him. They had a 2-score lead in the fourth quarter, and they could have easily lost the game. They got a little bit, I thought, a little bit conservative, a little bit lackadaisical, and he has made some whoppers of game day misjudgments. Okay, I don't think of him as a very good game day coach.
No.
I think he is
He's going to get the talent.
It's an exceptional recruiter. And they finished 11-2 last year, or 11-3, so 10 whatever it was.
Yeah.
So it's a good team. It's a talented team. They will go as far as Carson.
I said Carson Beck looked really good in the game.
He did. He was accurate, and I was reminded of that game that they played against Clemson a year ago, Georgia, when they beat Clemson 34-3 in the opener last year. We watched that game when we were waiting on the game in Las Vegas, and I thought he looked like a first-round quarterback that day. He was not just putting the ball exactly where he wanted to. He's a big, strong-arm kid, but he was also moving around well.
Yeah.
Okay, he's a better athlete than probably he's given credit for. He plays like that, they will be very, very hard to beat. I also thought that C.J. Carr, the freshman quarterback for Notre Dame, grew up a little bit in that game. He was freshman, first start period, but on the road, that's always difficult. Go look at Underwood's stats tonight, okay? Michigan's offense did almost nothing. The touchdown was a 75-yard run by Justice Haynes, and that was it. Underwood struggled tonight, and at the end of the game, he's yelling at his teammates, okay? Carr, I thought, in the first half, made some mistakes, but I thought he settled in, and he's got a little bit of moxie to him. Like the first touchdown he throws, he does about 4 things wrong, and then he throws a touchdown pass. I mean, he starts out dropping back, and then he turns to his right, then he goes backwards 2 steps. Then he turns to his left and goes backwards 2 steps, and he turns back to his right and goes backwards 2 steps, and all of a sudden he's like 17, 18 yards behind the line of scrimmage. But then he circles back around, he gets away from all these guys, steps up, probably runs 4 or 5 yards forwards, and throws his 30-yard rope for a touchdown. That's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought for a minute I was watching Johnny Manziel when he was a freshman, on that play.
Yeah.
And I thought he played better in the second half. I think he will be good. I don't know how good the rest of Notre Dame's team is. I think he will be good. There's a learning curve for a freshman quarterback, but if he were my freshman quarterback, I'd say, okay, I got a guy that's got a little something.
Yeah, I mean, you're not excited you lost the game, but you're looking at a true freshman quarterback on the road in a big game. You feel good with what you have.
Yeah. No. Oh, no. Touchdown.
Good job.
Touchdown. Okay. All right. Fantastic. Thanks. 499-9898 is the number to call. We'll take a break. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Eagle on 8.1 Game Day continues. LSU wins it tonight over Louisiana Tech, 23-7, your final score. 499-9898, the number on the Hooters hotline. Ben is in Houma. Ben, welcome into the show. Ben? On 4.
Hello?
Yeah, Ben, go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, so wanted to talk to you guys about Nuss. Obviously not, his best game, but, it really seems, and he pulled the ball on one read option, I think last game, but there's just, these wide open pockets and he won't take the ball and run. Would like to hear your guys' thoughts about that. Thanks.
I don't want him to run in this game. This is not a game that, I want Nussmeier to go lay it out for. I agree with you that he should more often, and it opens up the run game, and especially when you're running the zone reads with a pull option, you got to hold up that DN. This isn't a game I want to see him do it in.
I thought he was a little more erratic this game than he usually is. I thought it started with the deep ball that he missed. I don't know if that was in his head. He sailed a couple of balls, got bailed out on a couple of them.
Yeah.
So he was just like I used the analogy at the beginning of the show, like a pitcher that just doesn't have his best command on that day. I'll tell you also that Louisiana Tech brought a lot of pressure. And last week, he really didn't have to deal with that a whole lot. It was a lot of quick stuff. And in this game, I thought they made a concentrated effort to try and push the ball down the field a little bit more. Now, we're gonna take a look at this, but what Gordy was telling me before we started the show was, Tech's playing back there. It's some 2 high, some 4 high. They're playing a 3-3-5, and you've almost got this shell up at the top. La Tech was going to make it very hard to get the ball thrown over their head. And so Chris Hilton wasn't really a factor in this game either. Barry and Brown had a great game. They gave him the game ball, but the one time they could have really busted him behind the coverage, he underthrew the football. So I just thought it was an off night for him. I didn't think he was awful, but I didn't think he was sharp either.
My problem with that, when you play the 3-3-5, you're playing a shell coverage, you're taking away the deep ball, you got to run it. And that's what changes the game.
Yeah.
Once you start running the football, it opens up the deep pass. And if you're getting blown up and not being able to move the ball and threaten them in the first 10 yards, they're going to keep playing deep.
Caden Durham had 13 carries for 29 yards. A lot of that, I would say, of those 13 carries, maybe 9 of them, would you say, were between the tackles?
Yeah, I mean,
there's just not a lot of room to move in there.
Harlan bust one for 40, and Thomas bust one for 40.
Mm-hmm. And Barry and Brown hit an end around for 15.
That was about it.
Those three accounted for, what do we say? Where's my number here? 106 yards on 3 carries. The other 31 carries produced 22 yards.
It's rough.
That's going to be a tough way to fly. Hooters hotline for Charlie in Lafayette. Charlie, welcome into the show.
Listening to the program so far, and you identified a lot of issues. But I think that I go back to that first play of the game when Braylon Moore got hurt. I just knew something. I had a feeling this is not going to be good. And because he's hurt, then you don't have the run game. I mean, you're not. Your whole things out of sync, and then when you don't put teams away like that, you end up getting Trey Days Green hurt in the fourth quarter. And I mean, I could deal. 23-7 wouldn't have bothered me, but the injuries bother me. And that's the thing is, if you put people away, I think that you probably have a less chance of injuries. Of course, I remember Zy Alexander, the last play of the half against Army. He's running the ball, he gets hurt, and they don't have the rest of the game. But just a lot of these injuries happen because you don't put people away. And so, I think they'll be. I mean, I still think they'll be fine. They have a chance to have a really great year, but it's just that you can't. I mean, I remember when Garrett Dellinger got hurt against Texas A&M. And they weren't the same. And Alabama blew them up. Not having Garrett Dellinger in that game had a lot to do. I mean, a lot that Jalen Milroe did, but it had a lot to do with LSU not being able to finished drives against Alabama could have made it close. I mean, when you lost Garrett Dellinger, that changed a lot of things last season. So I'm listening, enjoy listening to what you're saying. You're making some good points, and you're getting me a lot to think about.
Thank you, Charlie. I appreciate the call. Have a safe trip back to Lafayette. I remember Ben Wilkerson, the All-American center, get hurt. I'm trying to remember who they were playing, but they had the game put away, and he was still in the game for some reason and got hurt late. So it happens. But I can't argue with you on the Trey'Dez Green injury. I didn't think he'd be in a game in the fourth quarter. Did you?
No.
I was hoping that he wouldn't be in a game in the fourth quarter. Braylon Moore got rolled up on the first play of the game. There's nothing you can do about that. That's just bad luck.
Getting hurt's bad luck. I mean, look, you can talk about getting guys out the game. You're going to play so many snaps in a season.
He could have gotten hurt in the first quarter.
He could have gotten hurt in the first quarter. But, yeah, I agree with you that he shouldn't be playing in the fourth quarter. I'm not going to say that he got hurt because we weren't playing good.
You mean you mean that LSU should have been up by more points, right?
Yeah.
Not because when he was in the game, they were still playing starters. I mean, there was still time
They
left.
played starters into two. I don't remember when the backups came in this game. I mean,
a little bit, but not wholesale substitutions, no.
No, we just didn't. You know, where I'm a little bit confused is I thought we had a great game plan going back and watching the film and what we were going to do for that Clemson team. Concerned about their front seven. And then to not have a part of that in this game plan. I mean, it was like we had a completely different game plan. We're going away from that. Look, I don't care. I heard somebody talk about on the way up here that, well, we're not going to show everything against La Tech. You can show the stuff you showed against Clemson. I mean, when you get to that goal line, why is he playing on the edge? Why is he not spread out? Those are plays that are going to be dominant. We talked about the formation, in the post game. We talked about it Friday, Monday. We talked about it in the film review. I want to see that every time you get in a goal to go. I mean, go ahead and spread it out. Put that star out to the right. Put him out to the left. Let's run that. That's going to be part of our offense. You don't need to keep that in. It felt like to me when you said we wanted to, there was a effort to push the ball downfield. I also thought there was an effort to force the run, and we tried. They were trying to prove that they could run the ball, and we couldn't.
34 carries.
Yeah,
and 3 of those are Nussmeier sacks, but
we got into the goal in first and goal to go, and we were trying to power through there, and we couldn't do it.
499-9898 is the number to call on the Hooters hotline. Carla is in Walker. Carla, welcome into the show. Carla?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey guys, happy birthday, late.
Is it your birthday?
No, I'm in
No.
November.
Okay.
We're another year older, remember?
Okay.
Y'all remember?
Yeah, I'm a year older than last year.
Yes, we are.
But what's the alternative, Rich? To not have another birthday?
Not as good.
Okay. Before I get to LSU, did Oklahoma win?
They did.
Oh, wonderful. I was called into work part-time. I did not get to watch LSU. Had to listen to it on the radio. Okay. Last week at Clemson, Garrett had 2.2, 2.3 seconds to get rid of the ball, and he did a fantastic job. This week he had what? He was always running.
Rich,
always running.
Yeah, there were a lot.
It was a different game plan.
It was by a lot. And on paper, you just showed me this before the game, and I said, okay, that's fine. They'll be able to operate this, but not nearly as efficient as you'd have liked.
No, they try to do different things tonight.
Yes, and Charlie, I understand. Louisiana Tech had a damn good defense. They really did.
They played better than
they shut out Southeastern last week.
Okay, they did, Rich, but Southeastern actually had more first downs, more yards, and 5 drives that Southeastern had ended on Louisiana Tech's side of the field. 2 interceptions, a fumble, and two times they gave the ball up on downs. That's 5 turnovers on La Tech's side of the field. So the shutout I thought was a little deceiving, but they played much better tonight than what I thought they showed last week against the Lions.
Well, anyway, I agree with Rich. I'm disappointed, very disappointed. And we tried to run the ball, and we could not, except for 2 or 3 times. and yet they stuck with it, and Garrett couldn't throw. He had an off night. So is it our offensive line? That's my question.
They got to get better, Rich. They got to get better.
They got to stick to a game plan. I mean,
I'll hang up, guys.
Thank you, Carla.
Bye.
We got a lot of time to see. Like I said, if Clemson went out and blew out somebody this week, I'd say, okay, the game plan was great for what we were going up against, and then tonight we tried to switch up the game plan. Look, defense played great. They're going to keep us in a lot of games, but this offense still has a lot to figure out.
Clemson and Georgia Tech's at 11 o'clock next week. I'll be watching.
I'll watch the whole game.
I will be watching. 499-9898 is the number to call on the Hooters hotline. We'll take a break, come back with more of your reaction to LSU's win tonight against Louisiana Tech. 23-7 was the final. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Eagle 98.1 Game Day continues here from downtown studios of the flagship. 23-7 the final tonight. 499-9898 is the number to call. Clark is in Baton Rouge. Clark, welcome into the show.
Yeah, Charlie, with the ground game struggling, why didn't they go to Tommy Banks more?
That's a blast from the past.
Went right over my head.
In the early days of the postgame, we got 3 questions, okay, more than any. Why didn't they get the ball to Tommy Banks more? It was LSU's great fullback in the 90s. Why didn't they throw to the tight end more? You would have liked that one.
Yeah.
And how was the band? The band was solid. So that's a blast from the past. But and I appreciate the joke. But how long can you get away with this, what I'm going to call exotic run game?
It all depends on your
gimmick.
pass game.
You said gimmick. I'm gonna use the word exotic, but
it's
they both fit.
It's you're putting wide receivers in motions to make up for your run game. You're moving guys around, end arounds. It's different. It's not saying we're going to go up there and kick your ass and run straight up the middle. That's what I mean by gimmick. Like
right.
a true run game is we're telling you we're running the ball. Everybody knows we're going to run the ball, and we still blow you off the line.
Now, Xavier Thomas is a weapon, and I love his versatility.
God, he looks as good as any running back. He runs the ball like a great running back.
Essentially, right now, he is a running back that doubles as a receiver.
Yeah.
Okay, he is. Right now, if you ask me to describe him, I would describe him as a running back that is catching the football well and not a receiver that occasionally runs the football. That's just through 2 weeks.
I mean, I think that he has a vision and moves and understands the pocket. I mean, I think Caden Durham's unbelievable. I think Harlan Berry can be great. I think Xavier Thomas is our best running back.
Yeah, the Harlan Berry part, last week when we got asked about him, I said, look, maybe he's not quite ready to play, but he'll get more time later in the season. Maybe it's accelerated a little bit. That the explosion that he shows.
We're talking about one
strong
play, but we said the same thing about Caden Durham.
And Durham is an explosive.
Exactly, and we talk about his stats tonight. It wasn't well. I think that you're in the same situation. The ball's handed off to Caden Durham. He makes that same play. They're very
good to have two.
Yeah, they're very comparable backs, but the run game that I'm concerned about is just your traditional run game, being able to beat the guy in front of you.
Yeah, that is something that's got to develop. It's got to evolve.
Look, we go back to you said we don't talk about 2019, and I remember where I was watching. Was it Western Michigan or whoever we played in the first game? They blew them out. Georgia Southern. We had like 88 run yards. We rushed for like 88 yards. I remember, when it gets to SEC play, we got to start running the ball.
Yeah.
So
they ran the ball enough.
Yeah.
They were balanced enough to keep you honest. No, the first drive of that game was like, I don't know, 10 years of frustration of stale offenses. And it wasn't a stale offense in 18. They just weren't as polished, okay? They were trying to do things. Ensminger was trying to do some things in 17, and they were evolving. They were, Danny Etling was not as good as Burrow, obviously, but they were getting better. I remember the first game that Ensminger called, they set a record for yards against Missouri. Danny Etling was a quarterback. But it was all of those games where, Alabama's got 19 people in the box, and you're still running toss lead.
Yeah.
Okay. And that first drive, which was warp speed, Burrow making all the right decisions. I think they went down the field in 6 or 7 plays and scored, and I went, oh, wow. That was beautiful. Okay. I even broke my self-imposed Twitter ban during the games for that one. It's like, oh, that was just absolutely beautiful. But that was Burrow and Chase and Jefferson and Edwards-Helaire, and it was a really good team.
No, I mean, look, we're in a different era of LSU football to where, like you said, Les Miles, we ran the ball great, had no passing game. Since 2019, we got 2 Heisman winners, a bunch of receivers in the NFL, but we haven't had that run game. I mean, you had Leonard Fournette break the rushing record over 200 yards, and you had the next year Darius Geis break the rushing record, and that was what we were kind of used to. We're just playing a different game.
Hooters Hotline, 499-9898. The number. Carter is in Hammond. Carter, welcome into the show.
Thanks for letting me have me. I just want to say LSU's offense looked like they were in a struggle, and the only bright spots that I saw were Barryon Brown and Aaron Anderson. I thought Nussmeier missed a lot of reads early on in the game, and we need Trey'Dez Green back as quickly as possible because he will draw a ton of flags. But the defense is still looking very strong. And thanks again.
Thank you. Do you think he missed reads, or you think he missed throws?
He missed throws.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
I don't know. There were times where he was going to open receivers and he missed them.
Yeah, I think he forced a few balls that were really close. There was I'm trying to remember who caught it. There was a great throw over the middle that I don't think he should have thrown. I mean, he threw it into coverage and we made a great play.
And we got to give him credit for, was it 4 pass interference penalties?
Yeah.
Okay. One of them was probably a little bit ticky-tack, but you get credit for those too. I don't think that you should count on Trey'Dez Green playing anytime soon. I mean, it's just from what we saw.
Didn't look good.
I'm not saying he's out for the season. That at the beginning of the show said, look, MRI on Monday, and they have good hope that he will not be out for the year. What does that mean? It means that they don't think that it's the whole smash, but he's gonna miss some time. I mean, I don't think there's any.
It's too early to tell. I mean, I heard a lot of people like, oh, he walked off the field. I walked off the field when I blew out my knee. We don't know anything yet. You got to get that MRI.
Yeah, Monday. Monday will be a red letter day for both him and Braylon Moore. It's ankle with Moore. It is knee with Trey'Dez Green. All right, we'll take a break. Come back with more here at the flagship. LSU wins it 23-7. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Stat Check, presented by Luba Workers Comp. Luba Workers Comp, delivering genuine dependability.
All right, Rich, lend me your ear for a second here. Does this sound like a 23-7 box score? LSU 27 first downs, La Tech 12. Total yards, 365 to 154. Third down conversions, 9 of 16 for LSU, 3 of 13 for La Tech. Give La Tech one of them on fourth down. Rushing yards, 128 to 58. Penalties, 130 on 12 penalties for Louisiana Tech. 9 for 77 for LSU ain't great, but it's another 53 yards for Louisiana Tech. 1 turnover for the Tigers, none for the Bulldogs. 36-52 time of possession at 23:08. If you see that box score without a score, what do you think the score is? I think it's a little bit more separated.
I think it matches Louisiana Tech score. The defensive stats, that makes a lot of sense. Offensively, you think you'd have came away with more.
I mean, we go back to the scoring play. LSU had an 11-play, 98-yard touchdown drive, okay? That took a little over 5 minutes off the clock. 5.5 minutes off the clock. A 13-play, 85-yard field goal drive. That took over 5 minutes off the clock. They had a 9-play, 49-yard drive where they punted because they were starting so deep in their own territory. That took just under 5 minutes off the clock. They had an 11-play, 38-yard field goal drive that took 4:36 off the clock. clock. They had a 7-play drive that started their 9-yard line that ended in a punt. I mean, they had the ball. They were moving the ball. The punter pinned them back inside the 20-yard line 4 times. If you'd have said, what does this look like to me, I would have said this looks more like 34-7, 35-7 than it does 23-7. But maybe I'm rationalizing. Maybe I'm in too good a mood tonight. Maybe I should be angrier. I don't know.
It's sustainable drives, but you're lacking the big plays. I mean, your longest pass play of the night was 23 yards. I mean, you didn't have the explosive plays, and I think the run game's kind of skewed because you have a 43-yard rush by Barry, you got a 48-yard rush by Xavier Thomas. Those sounds like big explosive plays, but those 2 plays were it for the night.
Passing, Nussmeier 26 of 41, 237, a touchdown and a pick. Trey Kukuk 12 of 18, 50 yards, no touchdowns or interceptions. Blake Baker 3 completions on 8 attempts for 46 yards and a touchdown. LSU rushing, Harlem Berry 6 carries for 56 yards. Xavier Thomas 6 for 54 yards. Caden Durham 13 carries, 29 yards and a touchdown. And Barry and Brown had a 15-yard run. Clay Thevenin 7 carries for 22 yards to lead the way for Louisiana Tech, who averaged 2.1 yards per rush. Barry and Brown and Aaron Anderson each caught 8 balls tonight. Brown had 94 yards, Anderson 73. Xavier Thomas caught 4 balls for 35 yards. And Nick Anderson, who did not play very much last week, had 3 catches for 17 yards and a touchdown. Devin Gandy 1 catch for 33 yards and a touchdown for Louisiana Tech, led them in yards. Eli Finley 4 catches for 18 yards, led them in receptions. Defensively, West Weeks with 10 total tackles tonight, a half a sack, and 1 tackle for loss. Devon Keys had 9 tackles, including 3 solos, and Tamarcus Cooley had 5. Makai Mason with 11 tackles for La Tech, including a sack and a tackle and a half for a loss. Jacob Fields had 9 total tackles and a pass defensed. Your punting, I thought the punting made a difference tonight. John Hoyt Chance. Sounds like English royalty, right? John Hoyt Chance. 9 punts for a 38.4-yard average, which doesn't sound all that exciting, but the 4 that he put back down inside the 20-yard line really pinned LSU back on a lot of those drives. Chadwick for LSU, 3 punts for a 42-yard average. 1 of those went back down inside of the 20. Damian Ramos, 3 for 4 on field goals. The long tonight was 46, and Louisiana Tech did not kick a field goal tonight. That is your stat check. We're brought to you by Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com. Since the 1930s in Southwest Louisiana, Supreme Rice, grown, milled, and processed right here in Southwest Louisiana. Support our Louisiana farmers as they do the job for us. You're going to get a high-quality product at a great price. Get it at all your AG food stores, all your Walmarts, all your Rouses. And if you're tailgating the next couple of weeks, LSU is at home for the next 2 weekends. Pick up Supreme Rice wherever you buy rice. Come by and see us at Rouse's for pregame. It's a real easy jaunt right down to Tiger Stadium. They're also part of the Climate Smart program that's promoting water conservation and reducing methane emissions. For more information and great recipes, go to SupremeRice.com. Back with our final scoreboard when we return. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Games in progress. You know, people have got to do post-game shows out in Arizona, too. Arizona leads Weber State 34-0 at the half. Washington, did I ever tell you about the post-game show we did after LSU Arizona in 2003?
At Walk-Ons?
Yeah, no. Walk-Ons wasn't open yet. We were at a place called Serrano's.
Serrano's, where?
Yeah, it was right outside the gates of LSU. Yeah, we finished at 4:30 a.m.
They served y'all a few drinks, so.
They served. They left. They left a couple of bartenders that to lock up behind us, and their job was to just sit there and lock the doors whenever we left. And their pay for that was that they had an open bar. They took advantage of it. I'll just tell you that. Anyway, Arizona's up 34-0 at the half. Wazoo, Washington State leading San Diego State 29-13. Washington leads UC Davis 56-10. That's in the third quarter. Hawaii leads Sam Houston 17-6. That game is at the half. Everything else has gone final. BYU just wrapped up their win 27-3 against Stanford. Stanford falls to 0-2. All right, earlier today, number 1 Ohio State beat Grambling 8-0. Julian saying with 4 touchdown passes there. Number 2, Penn State. They struggled in the first half. They kind of slogged through the first half with Florida International. It was 10-0 at the half. They finished up 34-0. Drew Aller threw 2 touchdown passes for the Nittany Lions. Let me ask you about this game. And I didn't see any of it, but I'm asking for a reason. Number 4, Georgia beat Austin Peay 28-6. The yardstick, similar to what LSU and Louisiana Tech was, okay? The margins, yards, very, very close. That's probably not what Georgia was thinking when they got Austin Peay on the schedule, was that they would win 28-6. So how do you think they're reacting there?
I mean,
probably the same way
we're
reacting here.
They
right?
rushed for 190 yards in the game, so they feel like they dominated.
They ran the ball.
Front.
Okay,
Yeah, they ran the ball.
I got you. Number 5, Miami beat Bethune-Cookman 45-3. Carson Beck, a couple of touchdown passes. Number 6, Oregon dealt Oklahoma State their worst loss since 1907, 69-3, and they call the dogs off in the fourth quarter. They didn't score in the fourth quarter. This one was ugly from jump. Oregon scored on 2 of their first 3 plays from scrimmage. Dante Moore threw 3 touchdown passes. And in the postgame, they were very, very cognizant of the fact that Mike Gundy had run his mouth earlier in the week and said, well, they spend $40 million a year on their team, and we spend $7 million. It did not go unnoticed on the other side. Number 7, Texas beat San Jose State 38-7. Arch Manning threw 4 touchdown passes. No mechanical problems, right?
We'll see.
Can I ask you this about Arch Manning? I asked this in a pregame show. We were talking with Musso, but I want to ask you. Mechanical problems is what they said last week, right?
Yeah.
The throws were bad. They short hops, overthrows, whatever. Arch Manning was born at the Manning Passing Academy, okay? The Manning Passing Camp, he's been going since he was old enough to hold a football, right? His 2 uncles and his grandfather all played in the NFL for a long time. His dad played college football, and he is in his 3rd year with Steve Sarkisian, who in every stop of his assistant coaching career was either a quarterback's coach or an offensive coordinator or both. How is it that over the last 18 years, Arch Manning developed poor mechanics? Because that's an awful lot of experience and an awful lot of eyes looking at him. So can we say that it was his first road start and it was against Ohio State and it was that and not the mechanics?
It's 100. I mean, the mechanics were bad.
Okay,
you go back and watch it.
But it's not like he's had bad mechanics his whole career.
No, that's situational. I mean,
somebody would have told him your feet are pointing out or your elbows sticking out. Don't
you're
you
throwing
think?
short-armed. I mean, his mechanics are not. You put him in 7-on-7, he has perfect mechanics. I think it was more of getting rushed, gameplay, situational, more of a panic mode. But look, Art's going to be fine.
San Jose State ain't Ohio State.
Yeah.
We won't make that. There's no mistaking the two. Number 8, Clemson beat Troy 27-16. This game was 16-0 Troy at one point in the first half, and Clemson comes back. They found a little bit of a running game with Adam Randall in the second half. He rushed 21 times for 112 yards. Number 10, South Carolina beat South Carolina State 38-10. Lenora Sellers threw just 128 yards and a touchdown. Number 11, Illinois beat Duke 45-19. Wild game in Starkville. Mississippi State went up 17-0 on Arizona State. Sun Devils come all the way back to take the lead 20-17 very late. Mississippi State puts together a length of the field drive, 77 yards in 1 minute and 6 seconds to get the game-winning points. Yeah, and they win this thing 24-20 over number 12 Arizona State. Blake Shapen threw for 279 yards and 3 touchdowns, including the game winner. Upset of the day in Gainesville, Florida. Number 13 in the country lost to South Florida 18-16. Florida on their way here next week. This was an ugly offensive game for Florida all the way around. They got a touchdown in the fourth quarter. There was a spitting incident.
Somebody watched Monday Night Football?
One of the Florida players spit on one of the South Florida players on what ended up being the game-winning drive. Ended up giving South Florida very good field position after that, and they get the game-winning field goal from point-blank range, and they come away with the win. South Florida now with wins over 2 ranked teams in the first 2 weeks of the season. They get Miami next week. They were unranked the first 2 weeks. They'll be ranked this coming week. But to win over 3 straight ranked opponents starting as an unranked team, it's only happened 4 times in college football history. So good luck to the Bulls. We'll see what they do next week. Number 14, Florida State beat East Texas A&M 77-3. Castellanos threw for 3 touchdowns. Number 18, Oklahoma beat number 15, Michigan 24-13. John Mateer had himself a night. He threw for 270 yards and a touchdown. He also ran for 74 yards and 2 touchdowns. Bryce Underwood, 9 of 24, 142 yards. He didn't throw any touchdowns or interceptions, but he did get caught yelling at his teammates late in the game. So,
when you're getting paid $12 million a year, you got a little bit of pressure on you.
I guess the offense for Michigan basically was one 77-yard run by Justice Haynes. They gave him a touchdown in the third quarter. Number 16, Iowa State beat Iowa 16-13. 54-yard field goal ended up being the difference in that one for the Cyclones. And Beck, what was his first name? Rocco Beck threw a touchdown pass for Iowa State. Baylor, the Fighting Dave Arandas beat the number 17 SMU 48-45. That was in double overtime. It's a Baylor team with a really good offense and a really bad defense.
Does that surprise you? I mean,
yeah,
Dave Aranda,
Dave Aranda it does.
That,
I said that's hardly ever happened. And Jimmy was like, in the pregame, he said, happened last year.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, 2 of the 4 years the offense has been way better than the defense for Baylor.
Dave Aranda is a great defensive mind, but it also shows you, we go back to the blitz with Harold Perkins on the last play of the game. There's different athletes that can make a defense great.
Number 19, Texas A&M doubled up Utah State 44-22. Marcel Reed threw 3 touchdown passes. A&M going to South Bend next week. Take on Notre Dame. Number 20, Ole Miss beat Kentucky 30-23. Austin Simmons had a rough go. He threw 2 interceptions early in this game, which means that in the first 5 quarters of the season, he's thrown 4 interceptions, and then he left the game with an injury late, but Ole Miss hangs on to get the win. Number 21, Alabama took out their frustrations from a week ago on UL Monroe. 73-0 was the final there, so Matt can stay in Baton Rouge to do his show on Monday. Number 22, Tennessee beat East Tennessee State 72-17. Indiana, ranked 23rd in the country, beat Kennesaw State 56-9. Number 24, Texas Tech beat Kent State 62-14. Number 25, Utah beat Cal Poly 63-9. Minnesota beat Northwestern State 66-0. They call this one with 9 minutes to go on account of weather. North Carolina State beat Virginia 35-31. It was Pitt over Central Michigan 45-17. Eli Holstein, Louisiana kid, 4 touchdown passes for Pitt. Syracuse beat UConn 27-20. That was in overtime. You know what was funny about this game, Rich?
What's that?
Fran Brown, the Syracuse coach, made his team run sprints on the field after the game because he was so mad at how they played.
I love that.
And they won. Jacksonville State beat Liberty 34-24. It was Temple over Howard 55-7. New Mexico beat Idaho State 32-22. Missouri over Kansas 42-31. This was a very entertaining game. Bo Prabula threw 3 touchdown passes for Mizzou. Fresno State beat Oregon State 36-27. By the way, guys, this is the biggest college football card of the year. Hardly anybody had bye weeks, so we're going to run a little bit longer there. I don't know if you got some more music. I can do it a cappella. It's okay. Georgia Tech beat Gardner-Webb 59-12. Cincinnati beat Bowling Green 34-20. Colorado over Delaware 31-7. App State beat Lindenwood 20-13. Texas State over UTSA 43-36. Navy beat UAB 38-24. North Texas over Western Michigan 33-30 in overtime. Buffalo beat St. Francis 45-6. Wisconsin goes to 2-0. They beat Middle Tennessee 42-10. Ohio beat West Virginia 17-10. Wyoming over Northern Iowa 31-7. Wake Forest over Western Carolina 42-10. Rutgers beat Miami of Ohio 45-17. Arkansas 56-14 over Arkansas State. Taylon Green threw 4 touchdown passes and ran for another 150 yards and a score. Nevada beat Sacramento State 20-17. It was Southern Miss over Jackson State 38-20. Bryant edged UMass 27-26. Cal beat Texas Southern 35-3. Missouri State over Marshall, 21-20. Old Dominion over North Carolina Central, 54-6. East Carolina, 56-3 over Campbell. Florida Atlantic, 56-14 over Florida A&M. Fighting Belichick's get their first win. North Carolina beat Charlotte 20-3. It was Army over Kansas State, 24-21. Kansas State started the preseason ranked. They have lost 2 of their first 3. Houston beat Rice 35-9. It was UCF over North Carolina A&T 68-7. Toledo beat Western Kentucky 45-21. Colorado State over Northern Colorado 21-17. Memphis beat Georgia State 38-16. Tulane goes to 2-0. They beat South Alabama 33-31. They have Duke in next week, and Darian Mensah, their quarterback last year, quarterback in the Blue Devils. That'll be an interesting game down in New Orleans. Long Island beat Eastern Michigan 28-23. It was Auburn over Ball State 42-3. Jackson Arnold threw 3 touchdown passes for the Tigers. Vanderbilt trailing 20-10 at the half, absolutely dominated Virginia Tech in the second half. They won the second half 34-0. 34-0. They win the game 44-20 over Virginia Tech. Diego Pavia threw a couple of touchdown passes. Nebraska blanked Akron 68-0. USC over Georgia Southern 59-20. Michigan State beat Boston College 42-40. That was in double overtime. Dylan Lonergan threw 4 touchdown passes, threw for 390 yards for BC in the loss. Purdue, Barry Odom goes to 2-0. As the Boilers beat Southern Illinois 34-17. Coastal Carolina over Charleston Southern 13-0. UNLV beat UCLA 30-23. Bruins open the season 0-2. UL Lafayette beat McNeese 34-10. New Mexico State beat Tulsa 21-14. UTEP over UT Martin 42-17. And we told you at the top, BYU beat Stanford 27-3. And that is a wrap. That is your college football score. Yeah, this is the most games that will be played on any college Saturday. All is 60-something. I lost track. It's FBS games. So nobody taking the week off this week. Game balls are next. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Game Day presented by Super Chevy in Yingling. Game balls.
All right, you're up.
I'm going to different weeks. West Weeks this week.
West Weeks, 10 tackles, 4 solos, half a sack, tackle for loss. Through 2 weeks, West Weeks has 6 more tackles than anybody else on the team.
He's flying around. I mean, we knew, like, when he came along, we didn't know how much West was. We all talked about his brother Whit and getting his youngest brother recruited in. But, man, he's been a player so far.
Whit's got 5 tackles through the 2 weeks. Now, he does have 3 quarterback hurries. It seemed like he was flying last week. West's got 15 total tackles. Anybody else?
I'll go Barry Brown. I think, he had a night tonight. I mean, he was a guy that was electric. I mean, he was the only player I noticed on offense.
The game ball for the team went to Barry Brown. Brian Kelly said, give me some Xavier Thomas here. 6 carries, 54 yards, and another 4 catches for 35 yards. And in the return game, 2 punt returns for 24 yards. So all the way around, he was pretty good tonight. And I'll go with Devon Keys. 9 tackles tonight, including 3 solos. So we'll give him a little bit of credit there too. Those are our game balls tonight in LSU's 23-7 win over Louisiana Tech. We'll take our final timeout, come back and set the stage for next week. Wrapping up Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Eagle 98.1 Game Day, wrapping up. Rich, we were talking during the break about how teams react to games like this where they won, but they didn't play particularly well. And no less than Nick Saban actually pointed that games like this sometimes help you.
Yeah, sometimes the best thing can happen. Look, I'm a huge Nick Saban fan. I listen to every time he talks, love watching interviews he does. And he talks about his team going on. His 2 biggest streaks at Alabama were 19-game winning streaks, and then they lost to a team that wasn't better than them. And he says that sometimes it's the best thing that can happen for you because winning and praise makes a team weaker. So I think this is a good moment for them to realize that, look, they got incredible hype after that week 1 win. Everybody from Todd McShay to whoever you watched ESPN, any national deal, everybody said LSU's the national championship.
It's been a week worth of flowers.
It's been a week worth of flowers, and something like this can really humble a team and make them get back to work.
Time to do that is now. Florida comes in next week. It's a 6:30 start. We'll be on the air, Eagle 98.1 Game Day at 1:30 from Rouse's. The Brian Kelly Show on Thursday night from TJ Ribbs, and we'll have his press conference on Monday as a part of Live at Lunch. You can hear it on ESPN Radio, 104.5, 104.9 here in Baton Rouge. That'll be about 11:40 on Monday. Final score, once again, LSU 23 and Louisiana Tech 7. From all of us here at the flagship, for Rich, I'm Charles Hanniger. Thank you, and good morning.
Morning.
Catch us for Football Sunday tomorrow morning from the Queen. We'll be broadcasting starting at 10 a.m. Night, everybody.